Hello and welcome to MUWomen United WFC. Good evening and welcome to MUWomen United WFC. It's the Ben and Matt Saturday Night Live. How are we, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, pal. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Unfortunately, we've had to pre-record again because I'm at Watford away on the Saturday afternoon. So unfortunately, I won't be back in time. So apologies for the pre-recorded show again. I'm not coming to you live, but I know I said this last week, but fingers crossed we'll be back with you live next week, all being good. Madness, isn't it, lad?
Always madness.
Always madness. Well, before we get into it, pal, just a quick couple of thoughts on the game against City at the Conti Cup midweek. What did you make of the performance quickly for those that haven't seen maybe your reaction to the game?
Yeah, I mean, I was tied up with my show yesterday. I know it sounds strange on a Thursday. I was actually pre-recording it, so I couldn't jump on the match reaction. But yeah, I think first 20 minutes we weren't at the races. You know, again, another individual error which led to us conceding a goal. Wasn't ideal. And first 20 minutes, I don't think we were sort of all over the place in terms of shape, in terms of pressing. And I don't know what happened after that, but after about 25, 30 minutes, they seemed to have a rocket. And just, yeah, pressing was much improved. They were pressing aggressively. Somebody was backing it up. Yeah, it looked a lot better. The shape was there. I would have liked to see us test the keeper a lot more, and that's throughout the game in general. Obviously, you know, she cocked up twice via sort of herself and the defender. But I just think we've seen, you know, how many times she's let them down, and we've seen that she's got the lowest save percentage in the WSL, and they're not even bottom. So that tells you, you know, it's a makeshift defense. And I like I said, I think, you know, listen, fully deserving of the win, but I think I would have liked to see us, you know, pepper that keeper and absolutely, you know, really look to just even on set plays, like some of our corners and that, you know, really put it off and, you know, give it to her and sort of, you know, on corners, stand on the keeper, but don't put one on, put two on, you know, things like that. But listen, I'm not going to moan too much because I was actually absolutely buzzing. And like I say, I thought second half especially, we were a lot better. Like I say, the pressing was good. The overall play was good. There was lots of little combinations and passing. Things are working. Little partnerships forming. And I don't think we were relatively troubled really in the second half. I saw a lot of long balls from City. I saw a lot of them sitting back. And yeah, I think that's a credit to Mark. And listen, he made some changes, and I think that was quite brave. You know, he didn't have to make them changes. I talked about on Tuesday on a match preview. On my show, I said, to be fair, I said, really, for me, it's must win because we dropped points that were silly against Durham. And obviously then winning the shootout gives you one extra point rather than, you know, taking all three had we won. So we sat on 2 points. So now we've won. Obviously, we're on 5. They're on 6. And I believe they've only got one more game left, whereas we've got 2. And I'm sure, although I didn't realise this, I read before, I'm convinced that I read only the group winners this year go through. Now, I might be completely wrong on that, but I thought, oh, I didn't realise that. I thought it was first and second in the best third-place team, but apparently it changed because Arsenal and Chelsea have got a bye. So we're on 2 less teams, aren't we, in the groups?
Of course, yeah.
I wonder if they've changed it for that. So they've got all the group winners, and then I think there might be more. Like, I think last year there might have been, you know, 1, maybe 2 of the third best placed sides, whereas I think this year, second best placed sides, I think it might be sort of 3 or 4. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I definitely read that, like I say, that it was just group winners. So in that respect, I was even more happy because I thought, great, beat our local rivals, you know, got the win, played all right second half and some of the first. And yeah, look well on our way. I just hope now in this Conti Cup that we don't slip up. You know, it's important that we beat Leicester and it's important that we go to Everton and we've learned. So, you know, so far, so good. Now, I was fortunate enough to catch Mark after the game and he sort of said, how are you? I said, you know what? I said, I really enjoyed that, Mark. I said, you know, and I was sort of, I mean, everyone's probably seen Natalie's video. I was not quite saying, you know, like it's boring and things like that. But I said, listen, I said, we need to keep up that standard of pressing. And I said to him, you know, some days it has looked off. And I think, in my view, that we needed to be hunting in packs. And when we're aggressive and when we're like that, it's better. And I said to him as well, and fair play, I thought we used the wings better, which we did. And Fuso looked a bright spark, and she got down them sides, and it just looked like a Man United that we know we're capable of. We seem to have these performances now and then where things just click, but then the week after we'll have an absolute mare. So I'm just hoping Sunday we can start off on the right foot. Let's keep it solid, especially for the first 20 minutes. And listen, I know we're going to get into an Arsenal preview, but that's the big one for me now is just backing up them good performances and them good wins, and keeping it ticking over. And I think now we've probably found the minimum performance level. Obviously, it wasn't our strongest side, and then we brought a few better players on. But, if that team can do that, then that's the minimum level for me to start at and then kick on from there. But like I say, overall, very pleasing. Great atmosphere. It was unfortunate that I had to sit on the Woso side of the ground where I got told off for standing up and jumping up for cheering and everything like that. But listen, it's one game, mate. I'd rather enjoy the result against sticking it to them crybabies than anything else. But how about yourself?
Mate, I thought it was much improved performance like yourself, mate. I was impressed with, like yourself, I was really surprised. So should we start with that? I'm really surprised that he did change it the way he did. I thought maybe, I knew he was going to change the keeper because, let's be fair, Bagley has deserved. He's a solid keeper. He deserves a chance, in these cup competitions, if that's the way we're going. And I thought he might make maybe one change up top, and I thought it'd be pretty much the same team, basically, as the one that played against Everton, knowing that we needed a win. So I was actually quite pleasantly surprised that he made quite a few wholesale changes there,
Yeah.
And I just think we looked so much more like you said, like a Manchester United side, a little bit more aggressive and a little bit like we wanted the ball more. We wanted to get stuck in more. Whereas at times in previous games, we've looked like we've not really wanted to go into challenges. We've not really wanted to put down the second ball. Which not yesterday, Wednesday, we did very, 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 very well at doing that, hunting down the second ball, make sure we get the third winner as well in there, which is always good. I would have liked to see us maybe press Greenwood a little bit more, knowing that she picked up quite an early booking as well throughout the game. I'd love to have seen us just maybe just apply a little bit more pressure on her, knowing that she is on the yellow card. And, if maybe, I know she did bring down one of the players on a yellow card, in the second half, but we've done that a couple more times, maybe we've got her, not advocating that we should get players sent off, by the way, but just putting that pressure on her, knowing that she's on a yellow card, that she can't make any silly challenges. Yeah. And I'd like to maybe see us play off the shoulder of Greenwood a little bit more, But overall, mate, I was impressed, mate. I was probably Matt Skinner's best performance as a Manchester United manager, everything was absolutely spot on, mate. We set up right. Our attitude was right. And I was impressed the way we got our wingers in the game. Kirsty Janssen looked an absolute bright spot. The shackles were off. I've said this before. We've stifled Kirsty Janssen away this season. We put shackles on her. We're not getting the best out of Kirsty. And I think Wednesday night we saw what Kirsty Janssen is capable of. Running at fullbacks, getting the ball down, playing very well, linking very well up well with Kirsty Smith, who I thought had an absolutely brilliant game, by the way, considering it was the first game in God knows how long. Kirsty Smith was really on it, and I like the aggression from Kirsty Smith as well. Always trying to get into a tackle, always making sure that her opposing player wasn't getting by her, didn't make it easy. Always made sure she got her foot in the challenge. I really thought she performed very, 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 very well. As I said, considering she's not played for a long, long time. I think Carrie Jones was another one that really stood out, and we're going to get out to Carrie Jones in a minute as well. I thought she was absolutely, for a young player, absolutely perfect, absolutely fantastic. I think good thing about young players is we know that a lot of them play without any fear. I don't think Carrie played with any fear at all. I think she wanted to go out there and prove herself, which was good. And she really, really impressed me, mate. In a midfield where you think going to be a going to be a bit of a tough night for her. You know, City, I know they're under par, under strength, with a lot of first team choice players missing, but it's still international footballers in and around her, you know. And I thought she played her role perfectly, mate. Absolutely perfectly, and no fear. And one thing I do like about her, again, wasn't afraid to get stuck into a challenge, you know. And you know me, I like players that like to get stuck to a challenge, you know, treat it like it's a derby a little bit, you know, as opposed to maybe treating it like it's a game against your friends, you know. So that was pleasing to see. The back line was perfect again. I think, you know, probably a solid performance from them. Maybe should have closed the ball down a bit quicker for the goal, but, you know, it is what it is.
From a mistake, didn't it, from a back pass? So, I mean, you're right, though. The second phase of play, I did say exactly the same to Gareth, that the you know, once it had gone, the pass had gone, we should have, like you said, close it down. But
you know, it is what it is, mate. You know, I thought Thoristotier had a couple of shaky moments, but after that, settled into the game pretty well. I think her and Mannion are building up that partnership, you know. Seems to be pretty solid at the minute. In the absence of Billy Turner, you know, so that started to build now a lot, and I think it started to gain more confidence and what have you. But we just need to make sure we cut them shaky moments out, I think. Especially from Thoristotier, she seems a little bit prone to that. But other than that, mate, I thought she had a brilliant game as well. Bossed it at the back there with Mannion. It was easily, comfortably our best centre half, I'd say, you know.
A million miles.
Just complete perfect leadership from the back, really. I know she wore the captain's armband in the absence of Katie Zellum. Obviously, Zellum got rested for this game. I know she came on second half, you know, but I thought she bossed the game completely well, mate. And I can't fault anyone, man. I can't fault anyone. I don't think anyone had a poor game, really. I thought honour, whichever way you want to say it. I'm Mancunian, so it's owner or honour. Whatever, I don't know. I don't have a clue. But, you know, I thought Bagier, she had a absolutely brilliant game, you know. Again, great finish as well. And do you know what was so good about the second goal, mate? She hunted the ball down. She hunted that ball down, made sure she won it, and then it was a perfect finish, mate. Let's be fair. And that's down to hunger. And then sometimes I wish it'd rub off on some of our other players. Saying, look what hunger and desire and willing to chase the ball down and get your foot into a tackle. Look what that produces, you know.
But you mentioned Carrie earlier, and for me, I think that came from Carrie and Ivana.
Yeah.
I think if you, because I said to Gareth, it was me, Gareth, Kane, Emma, and Natasha. Sort of, we all sat together because we were like the only ones on that side. And we sort of discussed and we said, sort of, you know, that the pressing or the improvement in pressing came from them. And if you look at the setup for the first 20 minutes, the gap between defence and midfield was about 10 yards, and the forwards were very, very, very deep. And it's only when Martin Ho stepped up and was like, get higher, get up, press. You go, you follow up, get in behind. And I think them two took that on board really well first. And like you say, you know, obviously we'll get on to Carrie, but I want to shout out Fuso because I tweeted the other day, I think somebody said player of the match. And you know what? It was a struggle. And I gave it to Carrie. But Fuso, for me, I think listen, this is only just due to lack of minutes. Is that she got subbed not pretty early, but earlier than Carrie. And I think for me, that was the only thing what stopped me. And I know that sounds very, very harsh, but that's the only thing what stopped me maybe going with her. Because again, Carrie just, for however long was it, 70, 75 minutes she was on, she was excellent. Like, could not fault her. Like you say, you know, perfect. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, that with heart and desire and sort of encouragement that they can do it. And they just needed to, like I say, if we can get rid of that sort of, listen, it wasn't shite, but it wasn't great. The first 20, 30 minutes, you know, of where we were sat very compact and we looked a little bit scared and we made a mistake. And then, like you say, we didn't close it down and got punched. If we can get rid of that and start off, you know, you look at these top teams. I've watched Arsenal and Chelsea a few times this season now. And if you look how aggressive that press is from the front, Chelsea started that off and it's now something this Arsenal manager's brought in and they do. If you look at that and how not one, but two go and a third backs it up, that's what they do. And we need to be on our guard for that. And I know, again, it's Arsenal preview later, but if we can do that, let's do it. You know, like I said, we dominated that second half. They looked frightened to death that they had to go long and they made a couple of daft challenges. And by the way, that referee.
Oh, no, mate.
You know what? I can get away with it this week because we won. But how many times did that assistant near you have a flag up and the ref just oblivious?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. The thing is, I don't think that it doesn't help. They don't have the technology that they're doing the men's game, where they don't have to put the armband on the buzz.
Yeah,
but they do have. But you are right. They have got the headset, haven't they? Yeah.
Thing. So all she needs to say is, "I've got my flag up. It's offside. Why are we waiting 10, 15 minutes?" And then it was that stupid. There was one time when she had a flag up, and then the next thing was Alex Greenwood headbutts Martha Thomas, doesn't win the ball, and now Martha Thomas is looking at maybe a week or two out with concussion or something. You know, if you'd have seen that 10 minutes earlier, prevent it happening. But I'm not going to go on a ref rant because, to be fair, she wasn't the worst ref we've had. But just again,
no. I just think though we'll go back to this argument. How do you improve the WSL and everything?
Yeah.
How do you improve the referee? And I still think how come the technology that's available in the men's, say the buzz on the arm, why is that not available to the officials in the female in the women's game? You know, because that surely should be part of the uniform, if you like, part of the basic uniform of a referee at a professional level, at a higher professional level. You know, surely one way you get the flag where it's got a button on it, buzzes the referee's arm, so you know straight away that the flag's up or the flag's been waved or whatever. I just think that's another thing we could look into. But then again, it's another argument for another day again, pal, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah.
Yeah, but on to Carrie Jones, though, mate. You know, it was announced yesterday that she has signed her first professional contract, I believe, till 2023, unless I'm mistaken.
With an option.
With an option, yeah. Again, we've sang her praises just a couple of minutes ago, but what do you make of that? Is that good that we're tying down Carrie Jones to professional contract so quickly, especially after a great game against Manchester City?
I think so, yeah. I think, listen, you know, it's one of them where she turned 18, I think somebody said in our WhatsApp group that it was September. Now, obviously, they've got to wait till 18 until they go pro, which is absolutely fine. I would have thought, unless this has been in the pipeline, I would have thought would have done it earlier or announced it sooner. Like I said, we don't know, do we? So it could have been sorted near her birthday and just sort of done to be announced now. But that's fine. But, yeah, listen, obviously just turned 18, came in from Cardiff City back in start of 2020, so last season really, 2020 for 21. And yeah, you know, sort of progressed nicely in the devs, got a chance to train with the first team, had a few minutes here and there, and then obviously got a start against Durham in the last Conti Cup game, and a start against Man City again on Wednesday. So listen, you know, my big thing is if you're talented enough and you work hard enough, you deserve a spot. And you're never going to know how good these players are unless you play them. And I don't like to use this reference, but I will, because I was reading about it before. The Man City goalkeeping situation. Apparently, this flappy one's now injured, and they can't get. Nobody wants to loan them an emergency goalkeeper, which I think is brilliant. That's hilarious. But they won't play this development keeper, and this is down to the manager. I'm thinking, well, hang on a second. This is the club that played Ellie Roebuck, age 16, as the development keeper. They took a gamble on her, and she's been their current number one now for 5 years, you know, and they give her that chance. You're never going to know what a player does until given the chance is the point I'm trying to make. So, basically, you know, they can use another development keeper if they can't get one for me, but he won't. So anyway, don't care, not our club. But the point I want to make with Carrie is that it's pleasing she's getting the chance, and that we are giving her that opportunity. Now, we're not throwing her in the deep end. You know, she's been gradually eased in. She started off with training. Then she's had a few minutes here as a sub, few minutes there. Then a couple of starts. And I just think that's great. You know, she's had experience next to her to help guide her through games. And yeah, a 2-year deal with the option is very good because it just gives her peace of mind to say, well, look, we're investing in you. There's a potential there, definitely 2, potentially 3. Go and see what you can do. Now, hopefully we can see more of her. If we don't, I would like to see a loan. And I know people might say, oh, well, no, but I just feel like, you know, I look at Tara Bourne now at Sheffield and she's playing every single week and she's smashing it. So if Carrie's not going to feature too much, if Mark said to her, listen, I can get you in cups, that's great, that's fine. But depending on how far we go in the Conti and what happens in the FA Cup, it might not be many games. So me with my thinking and developing and coaching head on, says assess the situation in Jan. You've got your new deal now. A bit like we did with Rambo, new deal and loan out. Can we now find a top end championship club. You know, you've got sort of London City Lionesses in second. You've got, who else is up there? Can't even think. Mine's gone blank. But there's teams up there. You know, your Crystal Palaces are up there. Your Charltons are up there. So there's options. Doesn't even have to be them clubs. Just somewhere she's going to develop and play a lot. You know, Sheffield United might even take her, or Blackburn. But I think for me, you know, and again, I think back, Chloe Williams was somebody else who said needed a loan. She's just gone to Blackburn. Fantastic. Obviously, I think Maria Edwards would have gone out on loan. She's just got an injury. But, you know, having somebody like Carrie also not only playing, but also showing others that it can be done. There is a pathway at Man United. You will get picked. You know, you don't here have a manager that's not believing in the development squad. Here you've got a manager where if you work hard, you will be rewarded. And it shows. So, listen, I'm buzzing. Like I said, for me, I gave a player the match on Tuesday. I thought her work rate was phenomenal. She wasn't scared to get stuck in, like you said, in a tackle. Her passing was good. Her movement was clever. And at times, I saw her demanding the ball. And I'm thinking, this kid's 18. And she's telling people, give me the ball. I want it here, pointing where she wanted it. Literally, you know, that's brilliant. That's exactly what you want. So, yeah, listen, future's very bright. And obviously, the club rate her highly. You know, the staff speak of her really highly as well. So, you know, imagine a few years' time, we've got her and Tooney in the midfield. Tooney's obviously a little bit older than Carrie. She's got 4 years on her. But listen, that's a potential midfield partnership there. Adding Fuso, who's slowly developing, and a few others, you know, there's really...
Could be a golden age, mate. Could be a golden age. You think you've mentioned people like Maria Edwards there, and Chloe Williams and that. These are really good footballers. You know, they're not exactly being shoved out on loan because I know Maria is not out on loan at the minute, but she has been in the past. You know, because they're bad footballers. These are really good footballers. Maria Edwards, for example, is one of the best young footballers I've seen in a very long time. You know, she's just been unfortunate with injuries. But she has picked up a few knocks, you know, over the last couple of seasons as well, which has hampered her a little bit. But you know, there's no reason why these all can't come in and around the same time. You know, they can be blooded in together. You know, there's no reason why they can't be. You know, if you're good enough, you'll always play for Manchester United. And there's one or two, you know, that in there that look really, really good, and you think, you know, keep an eye out on them. They could get the opportunity. Yeah. So I think Carrie, as you said, Carrie Jones has proven that now as well. Like, listen, you put your head down, work hard, and everything, you will get an opportunity to play. And it's proven that the boss does. You know, people might say, "Oh, what's Matt's going to like with young players?" But at least he's given the opportunity to someone like Carrie Jones. You know.
He was good at Birmingham, to be fair. You know, I did mention this in the summer, and, you know, it's something that I was like, fair play. You know, he's known. Now, obviously, at Birmingham, we all know, and it's got worse, sort of the financial side. But he was, like I say, he wasn't afraid to bring players through. And I'm not even talking one or two. I'm talking sort of 3, 4, 5. So, listen, the platform's there. If Maria can get fit, if Chloe has a good loan spell, we've got Carrie, you know, potentially Rebecca May. You know, I've not heard too much of her since.
Rebecca May, she broke it under
last year before against Reading.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then you add in the likes of Poppy Lawson, and there's other players in there. You know, people constantly on about Kana Solskjaer, but I think she needs a little bit more time yet and less pressure on her because of her name. But listen, the opportunity's there, and it must be pleasing as a development player and a parent, really, to think, well, actually, you know what, my daughter is in good hands because actually Mark's done this at Birmingham. He's done this. These players have had a chance. You know, these players have got loans and done really well. This is what could happen to my daughter. So, yeah, literally cannot say a bad word about anyone on that, including the club. So, yeah, really, really pleased.
Absolutely. And if, listen, Manchester United have got a rich history as a football club of blooding young players, been in young players through the academy system.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's worked all the way through the club. So, and United, let's be fair, even when we didn't have a professional women's side, we always still had probably the best academy for these young girls to come through. And obviously, I know they had to move on to other clubs when they got to a certain age, but now they've got the senior side back now, and they know that there's a step up to a Manchester United team.
Yeah.
Hopefully that then brings out more hunger in the younger girls to know that they're up there. I know there's a pathway. Carrie Jones has had it. Becky May's had it at times as well.
Yeah.
Casey. there is a pathway there for me. I just need to go out there, put in the hard work, and just let my natural ability flow. So it's good to see, mate.
That's it. I think
I'm glad that we'll continue with that tradition.
Yeah, I think it's important, though. It is important from their point of view to see, like you say, it's all well and good saying, oh, well, somebody's known for that. But unless you can see it in action, like we say, we've got two fantastic examples with Carrie Jones and Tara Bourne. Obviously, if we're going back even more, Rebecca May. So, and obviously Maria Edwards. And I think back to Oslo when Charlotte Newsham was brought to Oslo and put in there as well. So listen, the opportunity's there and it's visible and it's actually, those players are living proof that actually people don't just talk about it, it actually happens. So, yeah, just thought it was important to add that bit in, that it was actually visible and these players could see it.
Absolutely, pal, absolutely. Before we get on to the Arsenal preview, just the one thing that popped up on social media earlier yesterday.
Yeah.
I know. Come on. Pre-recording's a bugger, innit? Yeah, earlier yesterday. Could a rugby style sort of magic weekend boost the profile of the women's games and boost attendances? For those that don't know, the Magic Rugby Weekend takes place in one stadium. I don't know, for example, say we'll take out Wembley Stadium for argument's sake. It'll take place at Wembley Stadium. Every team that week will play at Wembley Stadium, one after another. It could be over 2 days. I don't know how many teams are in the Rugby League, to be fair, the Super League, but say, for example, it's
maybe 10. It's either 10 or 12.
Whatever it may be. Maybe you have a handful of matches, one on the Saturday and a handful of matches on the Sunday. And then one game after another. And it's called like a magic weekend, and you all buy your tickets, and then you've got a magic day, as they say, watching rugby throughout the whole day, whether it be your own team, the opposition team. And it's also big on doing the old family thing, get families involved. There's a lot of like fan zone stuff in and around there, a lot of things for kids to do. But I'm not a rugby league fan. I'm not a big, rugby fan myself anyway. So that's what the brief that I've just read up on it. Gareth, someone like Gareth would be better off telling you what it's like, because he does support rugby and rugby league in particular. So, Matt, what's your first initial thoughts on something like that?
Not a
for
fan.
the women's game. But I'm not a fan either, mate. But
I know why you're not a fan, but I'll explain it from a different point of view. I just think that I can understand why people have mentioned it and why it could potentially work. But for me, I think it's not the way, And I know what you're going to talk about. You're going to say you don't want to watch another team, which is fine. But what I'm going to say is, you mentioned there about, fan zones and things. And let's say it is at Wembley, for example, right? It's a faff to get to. So wherever you are, it's not going to suit everyone, If you look at travelling fans in the WSL, there's ourselves, there's Chelsea, as the main two that travel in big numbers. You've then got a few City and a few Arsenal, okay? You look at it after that, there's absolutely nothing. Nobody does away games in the league. So for me, even if you're asking people to go to Birmingham or maybe somewhere up north or to London, the travel factor is going to be one barrier affecting people going. The cost of it, that's the travel without the tickets. You've then got the tickets, which will be more expensive than WSL, because if there's 4 teams playing in one day, let's say Saturday at Wembley's United versus Arsenal and Chelsea versus Villa or something like that, right? That's not going to be your £6 ticket because you're getting 2 games. That's going to be more. So, listen, it'll still be affordable, but that again is factored in. Now, if you're, and I know, like I say, you'll be onto it. If you're only wanting to watch one team, you've potentially paid double what you normally would, or more than what you normally would, to watch them at LSV or at an away game. So that in itself is an issue for me, as well as travel. I think if they're doing these fan zones and things like that and really boosting it, listen, I've been banging on about this at Lee for years, that we're missing a trick because other teams do it. They'll have a store with merchandise. They'll get the little mascots, so in our case, Fred the Red. There'll be entertainers, there'll be things there, and it brings families in. It generates more income. We've got a little cafe, which barely anybody knows about. There's about 5 things available in the shop, and maybe a bacon butty if you're lucky. It's not very well publicized. It's not really there. I think of other clubs, I've been to, and they get their like the foundation or their community coaches, and there's all sorts going on. If they want to make it family orientated like that and get people involved, fine, no problems with that. But I think that's what needs to start at own clubs before we start faffing about. Now, another thing I've been mentioning on my Tuesday show, we talked about Women's Football Weekend. And I said, listen, it's good, but it can be better. It can be better for me by doing more than one throughout the season. I think if we want to get men's fans involved and we're serious about it, could it be every international break? Perhaps. Does it need to be? Not necessarily. Like I said, you could have one sort of towards the start of the season, September, October. Okay, you could have other. Listen, there's plenty of international breaks from the men's side. You've got the ones in the new year as well. You could easily fit 2, if not 3 in and do it that way. But they need to think about the planning, because this year, one game on a Saturday was woeful. And then the other way, to do it is look at including the National League. And that was something that Liverpool Feds manager, who's an ex-Everton player, and she'd played in like FA Cup finals and stuff. She was critical and said, well, listen, there was no promotion for tier 3, 4, 5, 6. There was nothing. And some of them had big FA Cup games. There was teams in tier 7 beating teams in tier 4 and things like that. It was crazy. So really good advert. And there was absolutely nothing. So I think in terms of Magic Weekend, like I say, I'm not a fan. I think there's better ways to grow it. I think there's ways where, I think it was John on Tuesday talked about knowing what the customer wants. How many times do you ever see after Women's Football Weekend them offer feedback? How many times do you say to them fans that don't turn up the next week, what's preventing you? Why have we got 5K one week and only 1K or 1.5K the next week? What's making these people decide not to go? And I think this is, again, we always talk about growing the game, but I just think for me, Magic Weekend, like I say, I can see the idea and it works to a degree in rugby, but listen, we're not rugby, are we? We're football and we're women's football, and it's different. So it's different in terms of fan dynamic and everything surrounding the game and the whole lot. So I think, listen, like I say, not for me. I can appreciate the idea, but I just, no, I'm going to let you whack it now and abuse it from there. I don't want
to whack it and abuse it, mate. The idea is there, but let's not forget rugby league is all northern sides. There's not one southern side in that. They're all in one place, really. You've got Bradford Bulls, Salford City.
I think the furthest south you go is Leicester, and that's 2 hours.
Yeah. St. Helens, Wigan, Widnes, they're all up. We're all up here. Lee, they're all up here. We're all up north. It's a very northern sport, rugby league. The furthest south they ever go is for the Challenge Cup final, and that's at Wembley, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Usually. So I just think logistically it's a problem, Yeah. For fans like myself, I mean, all right, I don't mind going and watching games are neutral, but do you think I really want to sit there and watch Manchester City play with them bunch of idiots? No, sorry, I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? It'll all be like, the thing is, you'll all be mixed in as well. I don't want to be mixed in with them idiots from City, not them daft idiots that cry about everything every 2 seconds. No, I'm not. No, mate, not a chance. What my own dedicated United end, and this is what I'm going to get into as well. Is I think that it's gonna the problem with these, like in rugby league, everyone likes it. It's a lot different to football. It's not as
not as aggy in the stands, is it?
Yeah, exactly. You can have beer in the stands. You can have a bit of a laugh. It's not as tribal as football is. Football is a very tribal sport, and it has been for many, many, many years. Rugby is a different type of sport on that matter. But the thing is, are you going to be able to sit with your friends? Are you going to be able to mix with your own fans? Is it like first come, first serve for tickets? And I bet you any money the FA, and I said this on our WhatsApp group, won't put it anywhere near, like in the middle of it, Birmingham, for example. They'll put it in a Wembley Stadium. They'll have it at Wembley first and foremost. Yeah. Because, being, obviously, I know Wembley is the biggest capacity stadium that we've got in the country, that or Twickenham. But I can't see them having it at Twickenham, so it'll be at Wembley. They'll have it at the so-called home of football, because they all know that Wembley's, they're still paying off a huge amount of money on that stadium. That's why, they'll have it there. They'll have it there. They don't care about northern sides, having to travel down and everything. You've got to think about accommodation as well. If you're the last on and there's I don't know what the kickoff times may be. And say, for example, you're on at 7 o'clock at night or whatever, and people might be struggling for transport back or whatever. It's always well publicised in the men's game. Anything finishing after 9 o'clock, it's an absolute arse to get back to Manchester on public transport.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got to factor these things in as well. To be fair, mate, I can see why the ideas come up, and I'm not totally knocking it, but
yeah, it's more complicated than it.
Unless you do a north-south divide type thing, but even then you're looking at things like, well, you're like, but I'm quite fancy watching United Chelsea. How can United, on a weekend such as sort of where you're massively saying, it's like a super weekend here. A WSL Super Week or weekend, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what they'll. I don't know if they'll go with a Magic Weekend. Well, they might do, to be fair. Say, for example, I call it a WSL Magic Weekend.
Yeah.
And if they have a north-south divide and we end up playing, I don't know, Everton, for example, we're always playing Everton. We're one of the teams that we always get in the cup competitions as well. You just fancy somewhat different. Like you want to go Liverpool, it's not Liverpool. Sorry, you want to go play against your Chelseas and everything. You want to go play. You want to go down to Bournemouth not Bournemouth, but you want to play Arsenal. It's just like, I don't know, mate. I don't know. It wouldn't work for me. It's like it's just a good idea in principle, but I just think, and as you said as well about the lower leagues as well, and like the Championship and that. Are you going to have the same thing for the Championship? Are they going to all play in one stadium? For example, it won't be Wembley if you've got the WSL teams there. And are you going to involve the lower leagues? Maybe have FA Cup match, like you said, like you rightly said, the FA Cup. Teams from Tier 7 are beating teams from Tier 4 or 3. Whichever way around it may be. And I totally agree with you, though. Why are we not? Sort of on a women's football weekend, why we're not promoting so much the FA Cup? Look at these great local ties. Get down there if you can, even if it's a neutral. This is a list of venues in your area. Do you know what I mean? Just click on, say, for example, Northwest on the website, and it brings you up loads of games that are maybe in your area that you can go as a neutral, go and watch. And pay a 2 or 3 quid on the door, however much they charge. Further down the league, you know what I mean? Get a bit of money pumped into their teams. Why not? If we're promoting the game, let's promote it as a whole. Not to just think about WSL or the Championship in particular. Let's go from Tier 3 downwards. As well. Let's promote it as a big brand. And I just feel like missing a trick. Maybe even if the BBC or maybe say, listen, we've got a website, we've got a red button that we can use as well. Maybe we can show to people at home. Maybe we could put one of these FA Cup games on a women's weekend as well, and really promote it that way as well. And just say, listen, on our website live and on the red button, I'm sure you could do it via iPlayer as well if it's not on your main 2 channels. Just say, listen, we've got a game of football. We've got this game in an FA Cup game, a team from Tier 6 versus a team from Tier 4. This could be a potential cup upset here, just try and advertise it that way. I just think, there's so much more that we could do. Like, let's involve the whole of the footballing community and not just, I know, with respect, I know WSL, the Championship, have the more famous teams and have the more luxurious names in English football. Yeah. But let's involve people down there, There's some big clubs as well down in them sort of leagues, let's just promote it. Oh, but mate, I don't know, mate. It's just the thing that puts me off as well is, how would you work it when, for you, like you said, for your world travel fans, like your like us and like your Chelseas, that may want to be in one big group so they can get a bit of an atmosphere going. How are you going to see that there's enough? There's an area for them fans and enough seats available and whatever it may be, I don't know, mate. I'm not too sold on the idea, pal.
It's like I say, you just need to know the dynamic of a fan because not everybody will want to do it. Like, even regardless of their team, like I said, it's just the logistics of it and everything behind it. I just think
Well, the thing is now, there's a new attitude coming in, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and I know a lot of people blaming United fans for it, but there is a bit more of a tribalism coming into the women's game. Whether people agree with it or not, that's the facts of the matter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to be sitting in with like City fans or Chelsea fans or Arsenal fans, you know. And don't get me wrong, I completely get where the WOSO community are coming from, if that's the correct term to use, where they're all pally with each other, everyone mixes with each other. But
if you want to mix, then why don't we have a designated end where I have a home and away and a neutral?
Oh yeah, true, man,
like
true.
Fulham do.
I don't know, mate. I'm just not sold on the idea, mate. Yeah. Completely. I get where they're coming from, and I think it maybe with a little bit of hard work and some decent preparation, it could work, but. One set of fans are going to get shafted either way. It'll be us, knowing us. It'll be down at Wembley. It will be on first ones on at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like, come on, mate, what's going on? You know,
a bit like that Brighton kickoff where they've shafted us at 12:30.
Shafted us completely for that, haven't they? But anyway, before we run out of time, just get on to the Arsenal preview, pal. Big game at the weekend, mate. And we all know that Arsenal are flying, but Spurs have proved that there could be a little chink in the armour there. How are you seeing this, mate? How are you feeling about it?
I mean, before Wednesday's performance, I was pretty worried, I'm not going to lie. But then after seeing what we were capable of on Wednesday, I'm thinking, okay. Obviously, they've got a big loss in Leah Williamson, but listen, that won't affect them. They've got a squad now full of depth and quality players. So I think it'll be interesting. I think what was interesting was the way Spurs set up. And obviously, it was probably similar to how we've played all season, sort of pack it out and then look to hit on the break. And I think what Spurs did really well was you saw bodies on the line. Listen, the keeper played a blinder.
She did.
Which I was surprised about because she was no use at Everton. But it was one of them games where you just thought, wow. And to be fair, Spurs should have been 2-0 up when Ashley Neville missed an open goal from about 5 yards. So look at it from that way. Like you say, listen, they can be got at. And I think it does depend on the press and the closing down. And that resilience, the resilience to keep concentration and to communicate well. And I think if you get that right, you can cause them issues. And I think a big thing for me is we've got to get both halves spot on and pretty much flawless like Spurs did. And to be fair, Spurs were unlucky, not to win that game. I thought a point didn't really serve them justice, because for me, they deserved all three. But listen, I'm sure if you'd have asked any Spurs fans pre-match, would you take a point from a local derby where you're not favourites, they'd have said yes. So, but I think that you look at their setup and you look at what they do, and I think about what Villa did, and a lot of teams tend to, like I say, sit in and pack it out and then try and hit them. And I think it worked well for Villa for 45 minutes. It worked well for Tottenham for 90 minutes. And I think it's just about everybody knowing the role and really, pushing and going for it. So I think, let's see what team puts out there. It'd be interesting for me whether he makes changes again in midfield and whether players are brought back in or whether, we're going to see pretty much what we see weekly. I'm glad he rested Tooney and Russo for quite a while. Obviously, they both came on Wednesday, but, they had a decent rest, so that was good. And yeah, I just think, that they are there to be got at, and we should really go in there, especially being at home with no fear. You can't fear teams, so yeah, let's see what we get. But I'll let you speak before we get into the sort of the big ins and outs.
Yeah, and I just feel like, if we can be, you're right, though, you could be on our game though, and I think we've had a lot of joy in the past as well. We've kept Miedemar quiet. We've kept it really, really quiet in the past. Listen, I know she scored in the Conti Cup against us, fair play. But in a lot of the games, we've kept her pretty quiet. She's not, gone and absolutely battered us, in previous games, as she has done to many of opposition in the WSL. So I think that's a bit key as well. But keep her quiet again. Maybe cut the supply out as well to her, like I think we have done previously in previous games. We've done very, very, very well at cutting out the supply to her. If we could do that again, starve her of supply, and keeping it quite quiet in the game. I think we're on to a winner. I do fear, though. I do fear that. I don't know. I do fear that we're prone to that a little bit of a lapse of concentration at times. This, as I mentioned earlier, with Forestier. So I just hope that in the right frame of mind, everybody's absolutely pumped up for the game, and we go out there and give our absolute best. We've got to, this is against probably the best team in the country at the minute. Arguably, I know people might say, well, Chelsea as well, but Arsenal had a blinding start to the season. So, we need to make sure that we give a good account of ourselves and make sure we play our game. That's the most important thing. Let's not bow down to pressure and try and play to their strengths, to play their game. Let's play our game. Let's get in at them, get in our faces, just like we did with Manchester City. These teams don't like it when you get into their faces. Let's get into their faces. Make sure we try and win the first ball. If we can't win the first ball, like I always say, let's make sure we can win that second ball. Let's make sure we win that midfield battle as well. That midfield battle is going to be very, very important. Yes, they've got a big player out injured at Arsenal, but as you said, they've got plenty there to cover. Again, they're one of the strongest squads in the WSL, arguably with Chelsea. In terms of strength and depth. So I just hope that we give it a good game. I'm not so sure if Tobin Heath is still injured and is out of the game this week.
Got a knock, so I don't think she's like out, but she has been on the bench just with a knock. I don't think that'll play into Arsenal's hands too much. It's not as though they're going to get an inside knowledge from. Well, they will get an inside knowledge from them, I'm sure. On what she knew from last season. Obviously, I know it was under a different manager, but at least that we know that if she is injured, she's going to be on the bench, or at least we know that she's not going to hurt us on the football field. She's not going to try and identify a weakness where she can exploit. She might be able to tell a teammate that listen, exploit this sort of area. This is probably where United are going to be weakest, but then it's down to that individual player to do it. But at least it's not going to be Tobin Heath, where that, as we know as United fans, that she can come up with that moment of absolute brilliance and absolute genius, So that may be playing into her hands, no doubt. I'm sure if she is fit enough, she'll get some game time, no doubt. But that might be a big plus point as well as the big loss that they've had as well from last week. What do you think of Nikita Parris? Do you think she'll start? I know she's been on a bit of a bench player for Arsenal so far as I've seen. If I'm wrong, I do apologise, but I know she was on the bench against Spurs, I believe. Do you think she maybe might get a look in? Maybe Arsenal looking to get a bit of pace in behind us? I mean, I think they will. You look at Thor, no disrespect, but she ain't the quickest. And to be fair, I don't even think Mannion's massively quick. She's quicker than Thor, but so I think they might look at that, especially with Tobin on a knock. And Iwabuchi can play in behind. She's a little, crafty, tidy player. So potentially, yes. And I think what they'll do with Paris is obviously mentally, with her being ex-City, they'll probably use that as fuel and so, go out and do your thing. So, Listen, I don't know. She has been in and out of the side. So it's one of them. It's difficult to predict the lineup because obviously they rotate. They've sort of got games in Europe and they've got, obviously Conti Cup knockouts will be coming up soon and they've got to focus on the league and they've got obviously last year's cup final as well against Chelsea. So games are coming thick and fast. But yeah, I just think for me, we need to be on our guard, whoever you talked about the midfield, but you could easily pick out that forward line, whether it's Iwabuchi, Heath, Miedemar, Paris, the list goes on, doesn't it? You had the midfield of sort of Frida Marnham, Jordan Nobbs, Katie McCabe is an attacking fullback because their fullbacks do get high. Even the defenders, they've just got a decent squad. But listen, we can match it. Spurs, like you said, have shown we can match it. Villa matched it for 45 minutes. Other teams have matched it for certain periods of time and then just got tired and, fatigued. So we need to manage our game management, manage the plan, manage the way we're going to play, and just see where it takes us. All I want is a repeat performance of Wednesday as a minimum. That's all I'm asking for, and just see what happens. Absolutely no pressure on us, but it's football, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Listen, we've got a home advantage as well, which, as I think it's done as well in previous games at LSV. I think the atmosphere, hopefully one of the best atmospheres when we played them in under the floodlights, a couple of seasons ago. In our first season of WSL, I thought that was one of the best atmospheres I can remember at LSV. So I'm just hoping that we get the atmosphere pumped up for Sunday. Get everyone absolutely going in the stands. We're all back together again, which is a good thing as well. There's none of us split around different parts of the stadium. So thank God for that. Hopefully we can make a bit of a cauldron there, a bit of a noise, and just get right behind the players, really. And just hopefully we could go out there and give a good account of ourselves. That's all I want, like you said. Just see a little bit of a progression on the City performance. I know there's going to be a few changes. Obviously, he's going to go with his strongest. Well, you'd have to think he's going to go for his strongest lineup. But again, I just think that midfield area is going to be so key to the battle. I really do. We need to be. He's back. He's back. What happened there? But he's back. But we need to be first into the ball. Make sure we're first to every challenge. Don't give this team room to breathe, really, is what I'm trying to say with this Arsenal side. Don't let them play. Because the one thing that I have seen of Arsenal, the little I have seen of them, is they're very reminiscent of the men's side. They like to pass and move a lot. They're very good at passing and moving. But if we could disrupt that, hopefully it'll stand as a good stead for the match. Matt, I want to ask you, because you know WSL a little bit better before we quickly wrap up. Who would you pick out as the danger player for Arsenal? If you had to pick one. I know they've got quite a few, but if you had to pick one.
Trying to think now. One's difficult, innit? I want to shy away from Viv, because I think what I saw of her, and especially against Villa, and maybe one or two other teams, she does, like you say, it's very, like the men's, it's very overplaying. And she sometimes, there was times at the North London derby, and I think she was about 7 yards from goal. I'm thinking, right, go far post, bottom corner. And she squared it. I'm like, no, you're good enough, and you're good enough to smash that in the bottom corner. Why are you trying to square it for a tap-in? So I think I'm going to go, if she plays with Iwabuchi. I just love, listen, she's only small, but she's technically, honestly, she's very, very good. I'd probably rate her better than G of Chelsea, actually. And obviously those that saw her at Villa as well last year, cracking player. But now she's with better players. And I think what you see from her is you see not only the work rate in the pressing, but she's the link. In that number 10 role, the link between midfield and getting the ball off somebody like a Jordan Nobbs or Frida Marnham or whoever else. She's that little, like I said, that little pest. She's always in and around. And it just, like I say, that our pace or lack of pace at the back worries me a little bit, but I'm not going to let that affect it. But yeah, I do think if Iwabuchi starts, we need to just be careful. If she doesn't start, then happy days. But she'll likely come on.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I agree with you there, though, mate. Shit. From the little I've not really watched Arsenal a whole deal, but the little I have watched him, she has impressed me. It could be on for a shout. A little bit better than Gino. And G is a fantastic player. Some players of G before said I'd love to see her at United.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, one player that I have missed out is Beth Mead. She's started out.
Oh yeah, she's really up to game.
I'd probably do. I'd probably be doing her a little bit injustice by putting Iwabuchi there. But I think Beth Mead has had a fantastic season this year. And listen, I've been critical of Mead. Hands up, I'll admit that. And she hasn't been at the races, but now she's playing properly in a proper position. She's looking a lot better and fair play. But she's up there in assists as well as goals. So that's another one for me. Again, just be on our guard. But yeah. See what happens.
Before we quickly wrap it up, pal, a quick score prediction, pal. If I know you like to be brave, pal, go on.
Do you know what though? I wasn't far off on Wednesday. I know you're going to say, "Oh well, you wasn't spot on," but to be fair, it was 1-1 for a good thingy, And I was saying, so I think. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go 1-1. I'm gonna say 1-1. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, listen, we could score 2, but I don't know. It was only 1 last year. It was a tight game last year. Yeah. I'd expect another tight game. So I think 1-1 would be about right. I think if we can match the result Spurs got, listen, I'd be happy with that. If we can get 2 goals or a win, Yeah, and normally I would back us most times, but I just think, you know, a 1-1's probably about right for where we're at the minute. And obviously we're sat down in 5th. Yeah, 1-1 for me.
I'll take a 1-1 as well, mate. But you know me, I like to be a bit of a positive person. I'm going to say 1-0 United, but okay. I'll take 1-1 if that happens. But I'm going to be a little bit positive. I'm going to 1-0. I'm going to sneak it.
Just those options that they have off the bench. I look at our options that we can bring on.
I'm feeling that Russo's going to arrow one in for us, and then we're going to actually hold on for once to a 1-goal lead. I just think, you know, I'm confident.
A winner would be nice.
Yeah. But I won't be disappointed with a 1-1, considering how strong that Arsenal side is, to be fair. Yeah. Before we do wrap it up, pal, is there anything that's on the schedule that needs promoting, pal?
Not as such. I mean, all I'll say is obviously tomorrow we've got the weekly show catch-ups. We've got the content, obviously, for the Arsenal game as well. So keep an eye, mainly Instagram for that, but little bits on Twitter. Monday will be a match reaction. Tuesday, I've pre-recorded a show with Lenny Priest of Watford Women. She joined me, and John from Get Pro Academy. John runs an academy, and he basically picks up players that have maybe fallen out of academy setups and looks to get them back in and sort of coaches them. So that was a really good insight into sort of development. That's obviously Tuesday, like I say, sadly pre-recorded, but you know, buzzing because we've got a player on, so I'm more than happy to pre-record to accommodate a player. And yeah, that's obviously, you know, schedule will be out tomorrow as well. So that's pretty much the week. But one thing that people may not be aware of, because it was only published today in the WhatsApp group, Gareth has very generously decided to do a collection for Eve Kennelly of FC United that unfortunately suffered a double leg break. So what I will say is anybody that, you know, feels like they want to donate to that, she's looking at 12 to 14 months with no income because she's not going to be able to work. So we, you know, a few of us are close to FC United, and Gareth said, oh, well, should we do a collective donation? So a few of us have chucked in already, but if you want to be part of that, obviously no pressure. You know, you're under no obligation, but if you want to, just drop us a DM or Gareth a DM, and we'll certainly point you in the right direction for that. But yeah, that's all from me.
Absolutely. And hopefully, as I said at the top of the show, hopefully we're back live next week. Do apologise about the pre-record. It was I got myself a last-minute ticket.
All good, pal.
Watford away on Saturday. Today. I hate pre-recording, I tell you. Today, so I'll be on my way back.
You can watch this on your bus journey home, lad.
Yeah, that's what I say. By the time I'll be on my way back from Watford.
Pass it around the coach and say, yeah, I get on this.
I'm actually driving myself, Bear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fair enough. All right.
Fair enough. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you next week. And as Matt said, if you want to get involved in that contribution, just gives any of us a DM.
Details are on Twitter, actually. Our Twitter, we've been retweeting bits. So, but
yeah. Just, but if you're still unsure, make sure you give Matt and make sure you give Gareth or Natalie, whoever it may be, whoever you're most comfortable in talking to, give us a shout out, and we'll certainly point you in the right direction. And until next week, we shall see you in a bit.
See you later.